So when there's lots of ways to go into fluid. So we're going to work with the idea of hydration, because that's part of how we articulate. Out of the, the juice of life comes these creatures, right? So they articulate out of something that is the glue or the soup that we're all in. So the ball is helpful. And so I'm going to work along the side body to open up the tubular field of the psoas. So, we tend to work front to back, but if you work from side, you start to get volume and you start to feel your psoas not as front to back or from line to leg, from spine to leg, but you start to feel its voluptuousness. So that's what we're working with, but we're not going in to try to find it. We're just looking to actually open the tissue. So this idea that to get breath, we actually have to take ourselves out of the, which I think happens when you're when you're cut from your mother. Like they do that way too soon. So you haven't really established a relationship with your lungs before you're cut off from the source. And so one of the ways to work with this is the long SH. And the shush sound is really useful for dissolving something. So it dissolves as I go, so very slow. So the sh isn't a shh, like push it out. It's, although, being active with it is another way to play with the shush. So I'm not saying either or. I'm saying it and go very slow. So go like almost a leak as long and long and long and long and long as you can. So you're going to play with the SH sound. So sound vibrates tissue. And there's lots of different sounds that you could work with. And if a sound shows up, explore it. Don't like say, oh, I'm not doing that, I'm doing this. No, incorporate it in. That's one of the benefits of all being muted, which I think we're all muted, is that we're not going to shock anybody by the sound that might show up out of us. I'm the only one who's not muted. So good. So this is a way of playing. I do like to work with the ha as well. That's the, again, it's an exhale. I work with exhales, not inhaling, because if you use inhale, deep breath, you're actually controlling something. You're putting a layer, like take a deep breath. You're putting a layer on top of an organism that is actually in startle, is in freeze, is in captive. And so the exhale, instead, working with it, allows you to start not doing anything to try to correct, but just playing with this long exhale. The chair is here because changing the relationship to gravity is how we start to find the spiral. The fluid starts to have more wave motion rather than a back and forth linear movement. It gets more, again, voluptuous. You're taking tissue into its capacity to start moving you. You are always being moved. You can't not, but you can be entrapped in density, which then feels like I don't have much movement. If you weren't moving, you wouldn't be alive. So, there's lots of movement going on in your cells, in your blood, in your, on many, many dimensional levels. But what we're working with is micro movement that allows the wave to show up. And when it begins to show up, it will move you. So I don't try to move, I am moved. I'm just being moved. I'm moved by something, So we're going to start with the ball right at the top of our hip between the ribs and how high you want that is going to be your comfort level. I'm not looking to be imposed, but I am looking to be moved by the ball. So in a way, this is why I say I first fell in love with the ball. It was the ability to surrender and feel this tissue of the ball in relationship to my body, and to just do a little gentle rock. Because what we're playing with is both the curl and the arc. It's going to show up in both ways, and it's going to show up in you, uniquely you. So it's not like we're trying to take it into the curl or we're trying to take it into the arc. I do that in the basic because I want to introduce the concept. Here, you're actually tracking you. And it's not a good or bad. It's like, oh, well, I could only feel this arcing, or I could only feel the collapse. That's just go where your organism, your animal body takes you. It is brilliant. Remember, it's billion-year-old creature. Access to something that's so wise, so deeply nourishing. And I'm like saying, I no thanks, So you could use your hand on the ground if you want. You can place it on your pelvis, and just let it rock. You can do whatever you want. In this course, you're not being trained to work a certain way. I'm setting up an exploration. And then once we get going, it's like you might find yourself somewhere totally different, where that you're escaping, kind of the like you're trying to reconfigure your control, is when you go back to your yoga practice or your Pilates movement, or see if you can let those this is my solution to getting out of pain or discomfort or just unfamiliar, is not to go back to something habituated. That means that if something gets activated in the sense that you're think of it this way, it's too much, it's too many, so it's too much, and it's and pause. So the strategies for your insistence, for feeling insistent that, oh yeah, I should move this way or that way, is to look. The first thing you do is pause, and you just rest there in the pause, and you're feeling all that you're feeling, and then slow down and notice where movement is. It may be somewhere other than what is grabbing your attention. Sometimes it's like, oh, my tongue is really stuck, or just, what is it to move my tongue or my tail or my fingers or my toes? What is it to let a long SH sound? And where is movement happening that I don't normally notice? So instead of being captured, so to speak, by your insistence that this doesn't move or that is injured, or go smaller, less is more. Don't stay very long in one place. And use your sound as a shifting of that territory, so to speak, of an opportunity, a kind of giving more possibility in that moment to the experience. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to work up until I'm under my armpit. But how long I roll and whether I use the chair to change that dynamic is your creative choices. Okay. So let's begin to explore this. I'll come in at certain times, but I really want you to kind of go off screen and play, but you're in the field with all of us, so we're all
here exploring, so you can kind of feel that you're not, that you're with me or I'm with you, and just see where it takes you. Okay, so let's go.